1817. We are told that this is the original Christ Church. New South Wales, Australia. 1817. This was our construction. We are told that the initial structure had structural issues. I've never seen a church from 1300 that has structural issues. But after 500 years of evolving and advancing, the masterminds of 1817 make churches with structural issues. And then they had to knock the whole thing down. We are told in 1884, they just had to make way for this palace. And this is where things get weird. The foundation stone for this palace church was laid in 1868. But then construction doesn't begin for another 24 years. They put the foundation stone down, and then nobody did anything for 24 years. Are we sure? Or is this a slip up by the narrator? Let's go further. Demolishing the original church in 1884, and then just knocking this thing out in 10 years. From 1892 to 1902. And of course, there were no structural issues. Because in my opinion, they found this structure, and we know this. But let's prove it. Thinking logically, why would they knock the first church down in 1884? Why would they do this? Especially when the next church wasn't done yet. In fact, we're told that the construction as of 1884, it hadn't even started yet. Did they already have this palace church? And that's why in 1884, it was okay to knock the first one down. And this story that we've been given, that construction began in 1892 and finished in 1902, is a lie. Pretend you're in the 1800s. Who here would knock their house down and then have no house to go move into? This isn't logical at all. And we know this, especially when the construction hadn't even started on the new one yet. And then this whole thing just gets crazy and takes this whole thing to another level. When we have found documented accounts of a massive network of tunnels connecting all the buildings in this area, of people that have actually been in the tunnels. On a forum in 2023, we found individuals talking about this location, stating that they found out about the tunnel entrance near the James Fletcher Hospital that goes underneath the entire city. James Fletcher Hospital. So I pinned this location, and let's see where this tunnel connects to. Another person says, go near Meriwether High School, and you can go through a drain. Meriwether High School, pinned. Over Stockton Bridge, at the old military base, endless tunnels and rooms. Pinned. A massive amount of tunnels in this location. Under the houses to the left, a fort and tunnel there. Pinned, saying it's been sealed off, with the next person stating, someone has now sledgehammered a hole in the brickwork, and you can get in still. Under the Newcastle East Primary School, it was accessible through a trap door and crawl space, where the kids used to get down there all the time. Trapdoors in elementary schools? I believe we have shown this before. The tunnels need to be exposed. Why do the tunnels connect to elementary schools? Who built these buildings? Who created these tunnels? Why do they connect to elementary schools? Why do they connect to hospitals? Why do they connect to churches? Places that innocent people under the age of 18 go. This is a network of tunnels, and they've been here for a very long time. We are not told the truth about them, and they are in every single city. And who is John Horbury Hunt, the supposed designer of the Old World Palace Church that has a tunnel connected to it? As you can see, I've already clicked on his name. I wouldn't be bringing his name up unless there was something shocking. We are just getting started. Welcome to episode 119 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome. What if your morning coffee didn't just wake you up? What if it actually made you younger? That's why 1775 created Rejuvenate, The first coffee infused with KAKG. This is a clinically proven ingredient to fight aging at the cellular level. And you're still getting that pure 1775 quality. Single origin beans, small batch roasting, and specialty grade coffee. Ethically sourced from small farms. But now each cup fires up your metabolism. It boosts your energy and turns back the clock by up to 8 biological years in just 7 months. Yes, studies prove it. I'm not making this up. 1775 Rejuvenate officially drops April 15th. But you can lock it in your pre-order right now. And every single dollar that you spend, it all still enters you to win that Cybertruck and $30,000 in cash. So head over to 1775coffee.com. Use promo code LUNCHBREAK for 15% off and start drinking your age away. This is the best coffee in the world and it tastes amazing. Go to 1775coffee.com and use promo code LUNCHBREAK. Get 15% off right now. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. I'll put the link right in the description. And you can use my referral code, MLB. If you click the Tartaria button, you'll see the My Lunch Break playlist right here. The app is awesome. Thank you to Rebecca K, David and Sherry Ferguson, Chuck Templeton, Joy Lee, Stephanie Nolan, the Burlesons, Suez KC, Edwin Rice, Helmut, Charles Kruger, Don Gaston, Dan Woodall, Dale, DJ Clicktrack, Edward and Brianna, Jacob Law, Jim Ribley and Christine Duggan, Kyle Glascock, BKTFnews.org, Ben Dries NL, Natalie Shippenoff, Amberson EMC, Melissa Edgar, Biggles, Clayton Lamar, Double Task Homestead, John Adams, Roberts O'Zolins, The Arnolds, Attila Power, Forbidden Gecko Love, Justin Grobner Grubb, Leah Strong, Dakota Dunn, Ivan Apoctoli, EdgarT-shirts.com, Jason Hochberg, Marie C., Kyle Logan, Alina and Chris the IT Guy, Michael Dingu, Patriot Armory, Tom O'Hara, Michael D. Connor, C3SCOB, Jeffrey Temple, SonyaDane.com, James Alt, Bucksui, Jason Prest, Suki Warrior, We the People, Migs, Mark Chapman, Muji and DeClan, Ariana Oates, Jenica Joyce, Nathan Burba, Ski, Codrenth, Beacon of Truth, Liberty's Arborist, Thomas Thorpe Peterson, Zinger Coffee and Tea, Kay Moore, DevlinMcGregor.com, Diamond Jewel, David Rauschenbach, Emily Maryland, Felipe, Curious Cat, Mike D, etc., Dan McGee, Lori Hedvig Johnson, Paraplegic Coffee, Ellie Annie, Seth Craigo, D Woods, Glenn Gunderson, Mousie's Mouse Cheese Records, Robert's Brain is Gone, Extreme Reality Check, Wayne T, Late for Dinner, Wanakar Camo, Paolo Goncalves, Blake, Rick Tapke, Ducks, MDF TFB, William Richard Jeffries V, Dax Billcheck and Son, Dylan Mugenberg, Leonard Insalacro, Robert Petro, Katz Hill, Susie Q, Yark 143, Sven Eric, Janet Elizabeth, Dr. Mom, Carrie, Kitty Kitties, Making Eagles, GOL, Penn Patriot, Doc Halo, Kenneth Putt, Brenna Fernandez, Paraduction, Jack Kramer, Henry's Mom, Necrodemonics, A&W Kerrigan, Tim Skin, Rod Wah, Ivan Apoctoli, Growl-Shaped Beacon, Buck, VKH Bonner, Papa One, The Meta Center Chicago, Ardra Rogers, Breaking Bigfoot, Gilly Quilly, Road Warrior, Jimmy Jacobs, Bruce Latour, Anna Marley and Nunzio, Lucy, The Lady Lacey Show, Shiba Shaba in the Darkness. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. John Horbury Hunt. You are about to be exposed. The supposed master architect of the 1800s did not have any formal training as an architect. In the traditional sense, he did not have a formal degree in architecture. He was originally trained as a carpenter in Boston, and then in a short time, he was off designing massive churches, cathedrals, schools, and civic buildings, teaming up with Edmund Blackett, the most prominent architect of the time, with zero documented accounts on how these two even met. They just teamed up and constructed palaces. And this isn't even close to the strangest part. Mr. Hunt didn't have any architecture training. And then you take a look into Edmund Blackett, a cloth merchant, and also has zero formal education in architecture or engineering. What is going on? And then you have to start asking, did these two guys really build these buildings with no training? Designing hundreds of buildings, or were they simply pinned to them? Thinking logically, two people in the 1800s that were never trained in architecture or engineering would not be able to build this. It is completely illogical. We have two key figures, Edmund Blackett and John Horbury Hunt, who supposedly built some of the most complex structures in Australia, yet neither one had proper architectural training. A carpenter and a cloth merchant, knocking out palaces. This is insane. Designing massive Gothic structures. This was just an easy task in the 1800s. And when they got done with their palace, they would go home at night and they would lay on some hay. How does a cloth merchant, Edmund Blackett, where he just moved to Australia from England in 1842, and then within a few months, with no training, just starts knocking out palaces, creating some of Australia's most important buildings. Take a look at this. We are told a man with no training designed this building and got it done in a time period of wooden wheels and dirt roads. This is Sydney University in the 1870s. Please look at the wooden fences. That was the construction at the time. Those stairs look like they were dug out of the dirt. This is crazy. And in all honesty, it doesn't even look like they were able to fully dig them out. They stopped halfway and just walked on the top of the dirt the rest of the way. These are the finders of our timeline, our current civilization. This building's incredible, and it's still here today. And this isn't even the only building that looks out of place at Sydney University. The McLaurin Hall, Australia. You have some explaining to do. It's overgrown in multiple places, like it was just left out there for 100 years. This is such a weird picture. Here it is from the other side in 1910, with dirt roads again, telling us that this one only took 8 years to build and opened in 1909. This picture is a year after they finished it? This is crazy. This is not a brand new building. Edmund Blackett had multiple jobs in his life that required training, where he had none. No training for these jobs. Being an architect and having no training was the second time in his life that he did this. The first time that he did this, where he had no training and did a job, was in 1837, where Blackett lacked formal training, of course, and began work for the Stockton and Darlington Railway as a surveyor. A surveyor is the science of determining the terrestrial two-dimensional or three-dimensional positions of points in the distances and angles between them. We have a completely made-up story here, in my opinion. This is insane and literally impossible. Could you even imagine today anyone just going and knocking out this church in 10 years? A guy and his brand new pal just walking over to a good spot in the grass. Neither one of them have training in architecture, zero training. One guy turns to the other and says, "You know what? I think today is the day that we put a Gothic palace together. But I have no training. How are we gonna know what to do? I don't have any friends, I'm not from here. And how many people are we gonna need to build this whole thing? I know nothing about structural engineering. I haven't taken a single class learning about load-bearing capacities. How do you make the perfect foundation? We know nothing about weight distribution. Snap out of it. We don't need to document this stuff. We are Donkeys Incorporated, with the exact number of workers involved in the construction of the Christ Church Cathedral in Newcastle, Australia. Not documented. We are actually told this. We are told that two guys just met up and had zero training, and they built the most incredible structures in Australia, and they didn't document anything. How many men? How many horses were needed? Like we just talked about in episode 118. This is insane. Massive flaws in this narrative. The narrative that they sat us down in those chairs as kids. They put us in these classrooms all over the world. They tell us that this is the truth. That men with zero training constructed palaces with wooden wheels, horses and wagons, would just build stone palaces over and over and over. and there's never a mistake. From people that have no training, we are not told the truth about who actually put these buildings here on our map. And this pattern continues when we see that John Hunt was also in charge of getting the St. Peter's Cathedral in Armadale, Australia done, where yet again, we get the same exact story that likely involved a considerable number of workers, while the exact records detailing the total workforce are not available. This is not thousands of years ago. This is 1871 to 1938, we are told. How many people? No idea. What about the other palace? No clue. We don't know. There was lots of training for the architect. No, actually none. So John Hunt was just off building palaces, and then he takes a shot at a house. And this is the house we are told that he built. It's a nice house, but it's not even close to the mastermind architecture that we've seen from him today. It is not the same style at all. The Sperling House, where it seems like we had an issue here. Oh, what is this? Destroyed by a suspicious fire in 2015, where residents are now furious as developer begins demolition of the $18.5 million mansion. We all know that the fires are still happening today. We see it all the time, and we report live on X. Thank you to all of our badge members, all of our Patreons, and every single subscriber. You are all awesome, and thank you for liking all the videos. I appreciate all of you. We are just getting started. We have a lot of awesome stuff planned. We are on YouTube, Rumble, X, TikTok, Instagram, Rockfin, and Spotify. We have the same thing going on with Edmund Blackett's supposed work. In my opinion, like I've stated, these are old world structures, and they're just pinned to these two individuals. Blackett, pinned as the guy to get the St. Stephen's Anglican Church in Newton, Sydney completed. With a 140-foot spire, it was completed in just 3 years without a power tool. Are you still on the fence? St. Matthew's Anglican Church, Albury. Edmund Blackett knocked this one out in just 2 years, in 1857 to 1859, with no training necessary, and suffered a devastating fire in 1991. St. John's Bishop Thorpe Glebe, where the two pals teamed up for this one. We're told Blackett and Hunt got together one night over a cup of tea and just planned this thing out in their heads. No blueprints were necessary. No money, no horses, and no people. No power tools and no training. This is what we're told in the mainstream narrative. Undocumented. And in 2 years, this thing was done. Between 1868 and 1870, the church was done. And here forever. Oh, wait, no? No? Not forever? No, not forever. 1972, it was damaged by a fire and then demolished. Okay, so not forever. And then we have such a strange thing happen, where Blackett was pinned to this mansion. And was this a mansion from the old world? In Australia, where they tell us that he started the project in 1865. But the exact duration of the construction will forever be a mystery and is not specified in available records. How is that possible? A mansion that costed millions of dollars in today's time by supposedly the most incredible architect of the time. Undocumented completion date. Are you sure? And unlike most homes of the time, the mansion had indoor plumbing. Very interesting. A palace that I believe was found in a place that I would love to go and see today. I would love to go inside this incredible mansion. I would love to do this, but I can't. And I can't do this because, like we have seen so many times, the old world structures are destroyed. By the 1950s, many of the once grand mansions of Darling Point. Are we reading that this is multiple old world mansions and not just one? These were all being demolished to make way for apartments, and Retford Hall would be among the demolished, destroyed. And this is why our research is so important. This community, we are showing the structures from the old world in hopes that we can all keep an eye on them, showing that they are so much more than what we've been told, constructed by an incredibly advanced previous civilization that had tools, they had proper training, they understood how to build a palace, and it was all over the world. The evidence is clear. We have been lied to. Today, we dismantled the official narrative piece by piece and exposed the impossible. Untrained men, supposedly building palaces with no blueprints, no records, and no logical explanation. Gothic cathedrals, sprawling mansions, and intricate structures. They're just here out of a timeline that doesn't add up. A carpenter and a cloth merchant, just knocking out masterpieces, massive palaces, incredible architecture. And not only were they building it on the ground, but they were also doing it below, with a network of underground tunnels that connected to schools, hospitals, and churches, all hidden in plain sight. With fires again, conveniently erasing the old world structures over and over. This isn't a coincidence, this is a pattern. We are walking on the remains of a civilization far more advanced than we've been told. Their work was not created with wooden wheels and dirt roads. These were monuments built to last forever, until the finders rewrote history and pinned these achievements to individuals who couldn't possibly have built them. Today, you saw through the cracks in their story. You know now that this world is not what we've been told, and it is time to uncover the truth. Together, all of us, we are piecing this puzzle back together. One structure and one lie at a time. Never forget what we uncovered today, because this is only the beginning. Are you ready to go deeper?